Today marks exactly 25 years since Ghana's first private media house, Joy 99.7 FM, was live on the airwaves. Yeah, that is 25 years of the Multimedia Group, and that was on the 1st of May 1995. As we commence the official broadcast of a line of activities in commemoration of this feat, we say thank you for believing in us and staying with us all through these years, 25 years. Well, today we are connecting with you two of the great and prominent female voices on Joy FM. That's Jifa Bampo and of JoyNews, and Eva Otre of Joy Sports, the pace setters who inspired young ones like us, and they'll be sharing some of their memories and experiences here at the Multimedia Group. We'll connect with them shortly, but first, here's how host of the Super Morning Show today, Tommy and Anforsen, introduced the show on Joy FM.
"25 years down the line, whoever thought that 25 years just seems like yesterday, you know? It's absolutely amazing. I think God has kept us going day in, day out. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, keep your dial locked right here on Joy 99.7. It's going to be absolutely amazing. I don't even know what to say. But to all the guys, especially you listeners who kept us going, you motivated us through the hard times and the good times. But the battle is not over. But on a more serious note, I'd like to say a big thank you to all the frontline health workers who are doing an amazing job in a very, very, very difficult time like this. And please, on a daily basis, don't forget the protocols. Like somebody said, wash your hands under running soap and stagnant water. Chai! And don't forget to use your hand sanitizer. You think Tommy and Anforsen has changed? I have changed. There's only one big problem, from bad to worse. So today we'll be talking to all the old folks, those who started. I remember traveling from here to Ajangote. That was one heck of a journey. 1.5 hours. Closing at night, driving down the road, meeting snakes who say hello, and I'll say hello, get away.
And of course, that's Tommy and Anforsen. They have been enjoying the show this morning. He's not lost steam. And when a texter said he's not lost steam, he said he's not a kettle to lose steam. Tommy has been great. I've been loving the morning show today. But that's what we want to do. We want to relive the old days. And so we're joined via Zoom by my former news editor, Jifa Bampo. Hello, Jifa.
Hello, Ernest, and good morning to all our viewers out there.
Good morning. It's good to see you, Mama Jiff. And viewers should excuse me. I'm sure I'm going to call you that a few times as we have this conversation. I have heard your story because I've had to worry you every now and then to tell me something about Joy FM and how you started. But just walk us through the very first day you got your letter to start work here at Joy FM.
Well, I can't really remember when I got my letter. I rather remember my first day in Joy. So I came into Joy on time, and I beg your pardon, my son is interrupting me a bit.
That's fine.
So I got my letter and I came to work. I remember that first day I met Kofi Owusu, who was the news editor at the time. I didn't meet Matilda Asante. She was away on training. And then, of course, I met Apesi Sapong, Sena Toklo, Bennett Frimpong, and, of course, the other technical team members. I remember I met Mohammed and then Sami. So they were the ones who kind of took me through my day.
And you are one of the few women, prominent voices on Joy FM. Share that experience with us briefly, how, you know, you're working in a male-dominated space, and yet you came out so strong. How was the experience like?
Well, when I joined, yes, it was a male-dominated environment. I think apart from myself, Matilda, Araba Kumson, Eva Otri, and then there was one other lady, I can't remember her name immediately. We were really just the ladies in the newsroom. And then it wasn't really even about a male-dominated environment. It was more about matching up to the standard that had been set. So my focus was rather matching up to the competitive environment. That was my main concern, because it was a tough environment to work in. Not because it was difficult, but I guess a standard had been set. They were very good journalists, and you also wanted to make your mark and match that standard. So that really was my concern, to meet the standard and surpass it if possible.
And I guess you did a great job on that. Newsnight started with you, right?
Yes. No, not exactly. So this is how it happened.
Okay.
We had a 15-minute news program at 6 p.m., which was hosted by Kojo Opon Nkrumah, and he was produced at that time by Sami Renchi. And then Kojo became the Super Morning Show host. So that program was extended to 30 minutes, and I started hosting it, and Sami was my producer. But with time, it became evident we needed more time to do the show. So it was named Newsnight, and then I was hosting that show for 30 minutes. Later on, Matilda Asante, the news editor at the time, had an idea that I should be paired up with another colleague to give it some interest. So Evans was chosen to join me on the show. So we started doing it for the 30 minutes, it extended to 45 minutes, and then 1 hour. And that is how come it became Newsnight with myself and Evans. There were different times where I would be alone, and Evans would then host the show as well. Those were times that I was away on maternity leave, and then at a point, Evans was away at school. So for the 10-year period, each of us would host the show together or alone. And so that's how it became.
We'll give you a few seconds to attend to Pakwesi. Eva is joining us on the line. Hello, Eva. Hello, Eva Otri. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, Eva. Thank you for joining us. We're celebrating 25 years. You, Jifa Bampo, and a few of those female voices there influenced journalism as we have it today. Tell us about your story. I don't quite remember listening to you on Joy FM. I think I saw you later on TV. But how did the journey really start for you?
Well, I think I joined Joy FM around 2002, and it was just one afternoon where I was working previously at Time, the Time Sports, Ghanaian Time, the sports section, when Yawam Pankra came over and said, I'm inviting you to Joy FM. The CEO wants to talk to you or see you. So that's how it started. So Yao said, okay, so we're going over there. I didn't really know what was really at stake, but I just went in there. I didn't think, well, I had anything to lose, so I walked in there. But then I walked in, he took me into the newsroom, and then I realized that there had probably been conversations around me or something of the sort, because it looked as though everybody felt, oh, she was here. Even though I didn't know
I think that the connection to you is not really great. The connection to you is not really great. We'll try and fix that. We'll call you back. If I have Jifa Bampo still with us on Zoom. Jifa, I'd like to find out, in your line of work, you deal with all these politicians, and I think that sometimes you really have to deal with the issue of your gender, because you're a female. Did you have times when you thought people were bullying you just because you were female?
I don't think I put that in my mind, to be honest. I think at the time, when I started doing a lot of the political interviews, I think I rather used being a woman to my advantage. So I tried to use the softer side. I know a lot of my fans and people who watched and listened say that I'm quite tough. But the truth is, I try and soften the ground before I do an interview. So I have a chat with the interviewee and, make them know that, look, this is not personal. This is really just about us doing our job, they and me. So there were a few times I did get bullied, but it wasn't because I'm a woman. It was really because maybe I didn't prepare very well. And I think I remember 2 interviews, one with Charles Rekubrewe, which I know he and I, when we meet, we always talk about, and then one with Dr. Tony Edu. So I don't think I prepared very well, and so I got bullied a bit. But I learned from that experience, and I don't think after that anyone had the chance to bully me.
Great. Eva joins us again on the line. Eva, so you were telling us you worked with Ghanaian Times, and then you had the opportunity to join Joy FM. This was your first radio work, I guess.
Yes, I had appeared on a few radio programs as a guest.
Okay, to do analysis?
As a panelist,
okay.
But I mean, this was the first time I was working at a radio station as a broadcaster.
And I guess you were the only lady on the sports team.
Sure, at the time. I mean, that was a rarity. Before I joined Joy FM, there used to be Mavis Akoto.
Okay.
And but Mavis sojourned to the U.S. I think she's still in the United States of America. So Yao and Mavis had been hosting the sports for a while until Mavis left. So I came in after Mavis Akoto had left. And so at the time, I was the only female on radio, basically, doing sports.
We still do not have a lot of females doing the sports journalism, but we have a few in the system. There's Baba Tando, our very own, and we're trying to reconnect her. We also have Juliet Baywa, I think. What do you think your time here at Joy FM did for sports journalism as far as females are concerned?
Well, I hope that, I had the opportunity to talk to some of the names that you've mentioned. Juliet Bewa is a very good friend of mine. I know Veronica Comey. Vero came to times when I was already there. So I know these few names that you have mentioned, and I am glad that in more ways than one, I had my work at Joy FM impacted some way, somehow, on the desire and passion for them to be in sports. And I hope that is the legacy that I left. That because the whole point of having that privilege, the opportunity, such a platform, is to impact generations unborn. And so I am glad that, at least, I've heard a few people say that we used to listen to you and we were inspired to go in there and do things. It's a pity that you don't have many more females at this time as you would have expected. I wish that there were many more female voices on sports programs, on radio. But thankfully, that was the whole point, that give it my best shot. At the time, I didn't think that I would make any weight or impact life in that manner. But each time you were on that platform, there was always the need to exhibit the highest sense of professionalism and to minimize any form of error. I could say that in my time at Joy FM, there was little or no room for error. You had a memo coming at you if you went on air and mispronounced the word or
I can imagine, yeah.
Yes. I mean, you had Kofi Owusu and Matilda Fanti breathing down your neck. So there was no room for error. And you were constantly reminded of the fact that your listeners were unforgiving. And so making errors was not an option at all for you.
Tell us about how Joy Sports changed you as a woman and prepared you for what you're doing today.
Well, so today I am a lawyer as well. So I am combining journalism, but journalism at a minimal level now. I'm focusing a lot more on legal practice currently. And you know that the legal field is also a male-dominated field.
Yes, it is.
Even if you look at the terminologies that are used in there, you can tell that for decades it has been a male-dominated field. Yeah. I mean, but the advantage that I think I have, and that is something that I enjoy using as a lawyer, is advocacy for me. With years of being on radio, articulating views, interviewing personalities, you tend to hone that skill of being confident, of being fearless, of having the temerity to speak in public before an audience without feeling intimidated, no matter the opposition that you're up against. I'm sure that Jifa Bampo would bear testimony to the fact that many a time you would interview personalities who tend to be intimidating, can be outright or downright rude sometimes, and but you still need to handle it in such a way that you still come off looking good.
Great.
Between the two of you. So these interviewing skills, for instance, I see a lot of parallels, similarities rather, between the legal practice and the broadcast journalism, and I think that it helps me. Interviewing skills, advocacy, confidence, and that because you are in an arena where you enter any room, you are likely, in the sports field, you are likely to be the only female.
The only female, yeah, so, absolutely.
And you still have to deliver.
Yeah, and that's quite amazing. A lot of lessons from journalism to law. Let's go back to Jifa Bampo. Jifa, at a time when there were just about 5 of you, you mentioned Arabakumsin, Evaltre, and just a few in the space. What do you think that did for women empowerment, in the country? Because I remember at the time, and when you read the history, you realize that there weren't women in a lot of the professional spaces. What did putting people like you on air do for that cause?
Well, Ernest, what I would say is we've already had a lot of women on air elsewhere before I even got into journalism. Okay. I guess maybe the difference is that you didn't have many women doing hard news. A lot of the women were doing news presentation, which is not confrontational, or was not confrontational at the time. You just come and read the news. There was no live interviews. They did entertainment shows, magazine shows, news request programs, and music programs as well. But I think the transition with private media was that women had an opportunity to do other things, and especially go into the space that was really male-dominated. Morning shows were done by men. Most of the shows were done by men. So by having some of us do hard news, Matilda really set the pace. But before her, there was a news editor, Suzanne Ayite. So she was also doing hard news interviewing. So we've grown into that space. Obviously, there is more we can do, because there are still not many women doing hard political news. I know there are many who admired us on the radio, but I guess when they come in, they realize that maybe this is not something I want to do. It's hard work, to be honest, doing the hard political news, hard interviews. It takes a lot of reading. It saps up a lot of your time. You have to engage with people. You really have to be on top of your game. But I see that at least, even though I'm no more at Joy, we still have a lot of the ladies doing that. Giftiando Apia is doing that. Araba does that as well. You have MFA Apau. And I see the younger ones whom I didn't meet. There's a young lady, Nancy MFA, very, very dedicated, very pushy, very, very aggressive in getting her stories and delivering it. And I also see that more people are applying that aggressive approach in the other spaces. So whether it's sports, whether it's entertainment, whatever. So I think it's done a lot to open up the space. There are lots of women now in multimedia, and that's a good thing. But we still don't have women doing a morning show, for instance. We don't have them doing really the hard news shows. And I think that's something we want to see. I think since Adjoa Edu, we've not had any woman do the Super Morning Show.
Yes, a few times I think Matilda, sat in, but yes, you make the point that we've not had a substantive host for a Super Morning Show or a morning show in Ghana. We are wrapping up on this. I know we could have this conversation all day, but just a few words, Jifa, so we wrap it up.
Well, first, I acknowledge Eva Oshie and all the work that she's done. It's great what she's doing now. My congratulations goes to the Multimedia Group and to Joy FM, of course. You really set the pace. It's a great environment to work. It's an environment that allows people to be competitive, to thrive. I also want to acknowledge all those before me and those after me and all the work the management is doing. And certainly a special congratulations goes to Kwesi Trum. I mean, without him, many of us will not be where we are and be able to be the people that we are. So thanks to everyone and congratulations. I urge the team to continue to work hard, to continue to be fair and balanced, and to also continue to do impactful, compelling journalism.
Jifa, thank you so much. A pleasure speaking to you today as we celebrate 25 years. All right, so let me wrap up with Eva, who is on the line with us. Eva, your final words as we wrap up on this conversation.
Yes, I mean, it's a delight to hear Jifa's voice again after all this while. And I think that she did a fantastic job at Joy FM. But I have to acknowledge the platform that was given to me as a journalist by Joy FM. It's incomparable. In our state, in our local space, that platform is a rare privilege, and I am glad that I was able to utilize that opportunity and make the most of it. So I'm grateful to Kwesi Trum for creating that platform, and you had all these amazing editors. I mean, today Eloy, Amanda, and I had the opportunity to reminisce about how pushy Kopio could sometimes be, and you had Matilda Asante in there, and I said it earlier, no room for slip, especially on air. But all that happened as for life after broadcast journalism, so that wherever space one found herself in, one could compete favorably without feeling intimidated, compete confidently, and I think that is something that I will cherish for the rest of my life. It's been amazing having the opportunity to work at Joy FM back in those days, and I pray that the next 25 will see Joy FM making a greater and even greater impact on the next generation and the generations beyond. But I'm thankful to all the people that I got the opportunity to work with, Matilda Asante, Kofi Owusu, and all the crazy guys, Asopa Menadazi, Lawyer Mante, Kojo Frempong. It was an exciting time, even though we had to work our sock off around the clock on a daily basis to ensure that we gave of our very best and produce shows that we could be proud of.
All right. Eva, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure speaking to you today as we mark 25 years of Joy of broadcasting excellence. Thank you for joining us on News Text.